Sustainable friends, welcome back to our YouTube channel. As every day, I am Sarah and we're here to talk about different aspects of sustainability. So right now we're doing our format Meet Our Conservation Leaders, which we have just started to present to you the people behind the collaboration with our WSF Sustainability Foundation. So before presenting to you the guests that we have here connected, I remind you to subscribe to the channel and that you can always come by in Milan. Sustainable Friends is the store in Galleria Passarella 1, where you can see live all our interviews. So today we are connected with Raul Maocha to present to you the ATMEC Wildlife Foundation. So thank you so much, Raul, for being here with us. So first, I would like you to present ATMEC and in particular the story behind it. So when it was created, all the network which also works around it, and what inspired its creation.
To put it briefly, it's been quite a long story, but ATMEC, the Altai Marine Ecology Center, is a project and a marine ecology institution under the Love Wildlife Foundation, the Love Wildlife being the organization. It was inspired by work that I myself, our colleagues in the Thai Department of Marine and Coastal Resources and Love Wildlife have been doing in our own ways for the past 10 years. So ATMEC was created in 2020, just before the start of COVID, so our timing was fantastic. But as it continued to grow, it manifested as a result of that relationship by the need from the local government to have on-the-ground conservation and in particular conservation research, evidence-based change, and the work that Love Wildlife was increasingly working towards in the field of marine conservation. So ATMEC was sort of birthed by that sort of communal need, both by the policymakers within Thailand, as well as the foundation's increasing interest in marine conservation action.
Perfect, that's a great introduction, thank you. And in your mission, it's also very important, the part of education and awareness. So can you talk about this a bit?
Sure. A large part of what ATMEC works towards is synergizing the research, the conservation, and the education. And while we do heavily emphasize research more often than others, all three aspects have historically and continue to be central to what we do. And they're not treated as independent from one another. So our education is directly informed by our research. We often run educational works that get people to actively participate in the research that we're doing. And the majority of our research has directly works towards conservation goals. And of course, we benefit tremendously from our conservation and research work by what we learn from our own students and our interns and what we can also provide to them. More recently, our education has been shifting towards policy engagement, working with policymakers and raising awareness to not only the members of the general public, but particularly providing more evidence-based thinking and action within the decision makers and the managers of conservation action in Thailand.
So can I ask you also what has been the response, both from the students that maybe were projects you conducted in the past and also now towards policymakers? So what is the reaction towards conservation projects and your work?
I think the reaction has been surprisingly similar in both ways, which is that there is a need and there is a continuously growing need. Especially because we are able to leverage an aspect of our work, which is participating in the process of discovery. The discovery is not only in things, for example, when we discover and describe new species, but also the process of discovery of solutions or discovery of problems that had been overlooked. We find that the response is very much a need for, we need more information and we need to learn more about this. And that for us is fantastic because that's it drives people to find more value in what we do anyway, which is as best as we can to fill in those gaps and to build more, as I said, more evidence-based thinking and figuring out what are the problems that can be most directly impacted by the solutions at hand and what we can do to improve the solutions available.
So as you said, you deal with also solutions to problems who also maybe menace are a threat to the ecosystems. One of them is the discarded fishing gear. And so I wanted you to explain why it's important to tackle this problem, as we're very sensible to it also with Friend of the Sea. And also we are shedding light to it also through other interviews. For example, we've just talked to the Global Ghost Gear Initiative. So I wanted to ask to you why it's important to you to tackle this problem.
Well, thanks to the support received, we were able to tackle this in a way that hadn't been done previously before. A lot of our work is focused on coral reef areas and artificial reef areas and habitats like soft sediment ecosystems that had been, again, not received as much academic interest. And it's actually, unfortunately, a growing issue. I'm sure that the Ghost Fishing Gear team would have mentioned the same thing. It is a very common and frequent occurrence when you are visiting particularly coral reefs in Southeast Asia, at least, where it's almost impossible to get through a whole coral reef dive or experience, whatever that might be, without seeing a certain amount of marine debris. And a large proportion of that is discarded fishing gear. We worked with the goal of trying to understand, okay, this is an issue that particularly within the close-knit scuba diving and marine recreational community of Thailand is very, very well known. And we wanted to leverage that towards building a more comprehensive picture about, okay, we know it's an issue. How much of an issue is it? Where is it more of an issue? What ecosystems and what organisms are more heavily affected? So we developed a explicit protocol to study the ecological and environmental impacts of discarded fishing gear. We call it the Marsai protocol. And we were able to conduct the first nationwide assessment, tackling about 7 different provinces in Thailand, if I remember correctly, where we got citizen science. We're working with the recreational community and just interested and trained enthusiasts and amateur biologists and conservationists, working with them to collect information, not only collect the discarded fishing gear, because whether it's beach cleanups or underwater cleanups, but it's very easy to make that have a lot more value if we can collect information alongside. If we're able to collect the information to understand which impacts should we pay more attention to, which places, so on and so forth, then the act of doing a cleanup and the act of conserving that reef in that way has infinitely more value. And that's what we were able to target. And so by working with the community and working with the citizen scientists, we were able to understand which areas were more heavily affected. And right now we are finishing the analysis based on the same data, which corals are most heavily affected. So to be honest, we've just opened up a Pandora's box, but I think it's important that it was opened because now it allows us to better understand what to tackle.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. So talking about corals, your collaboration with us is through the Save the Corals campaign by the World Sustainability Foundation. So I wanted to ask you what this collaboration has meant to you and to ATMEC, and to explain also to the public how this works.
Absolutely. The Save the Corals campaign has been a huge stepping stone in enabling something that for me is a very personal battle, which is responsible long-term coral conservation. So thanks to the support that we received through the Save the Corals campaign, we were able to provide the initial lines of evidence to start to compare, rather than the normal restoring coral fragments that is commonly done in coral conservation. So taking large colonies, fragmenting it, or finding natural fragments and trying to rescue them, we've been able to work towards developing the techniques to understand what can natural recruitment tell us. That means by comparing corals that we rescue from the reef and attaching them to structures versus what happens when you just let juvenile corals that are being reproduced naturally and letting them settle. We were able to start to find that these juvenile corals are considerably better adapted to the environmental challenges that they're facing increasingly more frequently in the modern day. And so thanks to this effort, we've been able to successfully campaign and work towards building up this as a conservation strategy that has unfortunately, again, been ignored for a while because the conventional approach of coral restoration has been find coral fragments or create coral fragments and build coral colonies. But that does not take into account the long-term sustainability of a reef. Ideas that may seem technical, like genetic diversity and resilience and adaptation, these are essential for any population of any organism to survive. And we need to keep these ideas that are somewhat scientific, but these are ideas we've known for 200 years. We need to keep these in mind when we do conservation. And the Save the Corals campaign allowed us to make the first true assessment of that for parts of the Gulf of Thailand, and is now being expanded and extrapolated across much of the wider Thai coastline.
Perfect. We're very, very happy to have collaborated with you and to have had also your voice here in this interview to explain to us how this has led to your work in coral restoration. So thank you so much, Raul, for all of your work. Really, congratulations. You're doing a huge part of it. And thank you so much also for this interview. So before saying bye, I wanted you to share with the public who's listening the channels of ATMEC and how to support you.
Thank you very much for having me. You can find us through the usual social media channels, the Out High Marine Ecology Center on Instagram or Facebook. The easiest way to find those or to find us and to understand what we have been doing, you can go to our website, which is the easiest to find. It's atmec.org, atmec.org. You can find out about everything that we have been doing and continue to be doing there. And that's the best way to reach us, and all of our social media links are there as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Raul. And in the future, if you have any new initiative or anything that you want us to share with our public through Sustainable Friends, we're very happy to do so. So let's stay in contact.
Absolutely. Appreciate it tremendously.
Thank you so much. And we say bye to everyone who's watching to the next interview. Bye-bye.